listening to Sable Radio.
Hola, buenas noches, buenas tardes. Welcome to another hour with Papi Chulo y otra hora latinoamericana. Got an extra special show coming up today. Thanks to Sable for having us here. Thanks to Eat Your Greens. Going to be chatting to Kebra today, artist, performer, DJ from Brazil, based in Mexico. And later on, I'm going to be chatting with my good Judy, Belén Suárez, just talking about music and our feelings. And so after, going to play a little track, and then after the track, we'll start on with the interview.
I can't listen you.
Let's start again. We're going to start one more time. So that was Get Parque Posadas by Ojos which is a song on the Hydra Club de Baile record label, which is a record label based in Argentina. And so now we're joined by Kebra. Kebra, who is live from Mexico. Kebra, ¿cómo estás?
I'm good, I'm fine, and you?
Uy, no te oigo. Espera 2 minutitos.
Vámonos. Ahora sí, ¿ya me escuchas? ¿Ya me escuchas?
So, espera 2 minutitos, no te puedo oír.
Sí.
Ok, ya te tengo. Okay, now we've
Creo
got
que
you.
ya, ¿no? Va.
Sí. Ok, perfecto. ¿Cómo estás?
Estoy bien. I'm good. And you?
Good. Yeah. Just to give some context, going to be doing this conversation in Spanish and English. So if you can understand the bits in English and the bits in Spanish, well, just learn some Spanish and we'll get there. So Kebra, how's your day been? What have you been up to?
Pregúntame en español, por fin.
Ok, lo hacemos en español, pues. ¿Cómo ha estado tu día?
Today is como un día tranquilo.
An easy day.
After a big rush, so now I'm feeling like a little vacation.
So what were you doing? Did you say you were doing a workshop earlier on today?
Yes, I'm making workshops all the week, but last week I have a big performance, so I prepared this and work for 6 months, and with 22 people, so now it's like.
Okay, eso se oye mucho trabajo. That sounds like a lot of work. Pues quería preguntar un poco sobre ese performance, pero como que before we speak about the performance, quizás you can introduce yourself a little bit. So, who are you?
Who I am?
Sí, ¿quién sos? Dígame sobre lo que haces.
Okay, I'm Kebra, and knows I'm Maldita Genitalia too. I work with music and dance in all the forms that I'm proof.
Dígalo en español, dígalo en español. Yo lo
Okay. Ok, pues trabajo más que todo con música y baile en las diferentes formas que eso me puede dar. DJ set, workshops, performance, instalaciones, pláticas.
Yeah, so you can work with, just work with music and dance in all the forms which kind of like encompass that. Y podrías decir un poco de tu trabajo con descolonización, which is like, just to give some context, descolonización is a project that Kebra runs, and like the word descolonización is kind of comes from descolonización, which is decolonization, but it has culo en el medio, in the middle of it, which means arse, or like, yeah. So it's like decolonization through like really situating it with the body. So puedes hablar un poco de descolonización y el trabajo que haces con eso.
Of course. Yes. Descolonización is a platform for me and a movement too. Trabajo con compartir conocimiento que viene principalmente desde el culo como un lugar de saber. Y ahí hay interseccionalidad con la salud, con la vida, política, la música, migración y la danza, por supuesto.
Y podrías platicar un poco más de como el culo de un lugar de saber. So just to translate, it's like just the arse, the bum as a place of knowledge, the way of understanding. What do you mean by that? ¿Qué significa como el culo como un lugar de sabiduría?
Sabiduría, claro que sí. Pues en el culo, yo creo que voy a intentar hablar un poquito en eso porque me da un poco de latencia. ¿Me escuchas?
Sí, te escucho, perfecto.
Ok. Pero yo no te escucho a ti. No. Bueno, el culo, pues, es un lugar que atraviesa muchísimas cosas. Atraviesa política, atraviesa salud, atraviesa bienestar, atraviesa sexualidad, atraviesa migración, lo que les decía. Cuando yo empiezo a tratar el culo no solo como un lugar de culpa o de prejuicios o de desconocido, como un lugar desconocido, yo empiezo a revalorar ese lugar. Es una cuestión de revaloración de este lugar del cuerpo para que podamos atravesar el final de era o atravesar esos tiempos en el cual vivimos a través de un conocimiento que es secular y que lo tenemos olvidado, y ese lugar de sabiduría nos hace no solo destrabar arquetipos del culo mismo, pero como destrabar arquetipos de nosotros como personas, como sociedad, como colectivo.
¿Y cómo haces eso? ¿Puedes hablar un poco de los talleres que haces o quizás eso es un buen chance para hablar del performance que hiciste la semana pasada? So you did a performance last week para un festival. ¿Qué era el festival?
Sí, era un festival en Lausanne, en Suiza. Se llamaba Fete du Slip. Hice como una conexión entre México y Suiza a través de un streaming aquí que estaba dentro de una instalación que se instaló en un club en Suiza. También un poco como reorganizar la dinámica de utilizar el club ahorita que pues está un poco difícil hacer fiestas aún, ¿no? Y los talleres que doy de descolonización, hay diferentes talleres. Hay talleres prácticos teóricos y talleres prácticos teóricos en uno solo, que intento traer no solo el movimiento como baile, pero también entender de dónde viene ese movimiento, de dónde viene esa música, de dónde viene esa cultura y cómo eso se sigue transformando a través de las migraciones, no solo de personas que fueron esclavizadas desde el continente africano hacia América o hacia Europa o hacia otros lados, pero cómo esas migraciones siguen transformándose hoy en día, sea por internet, sea por territorio, sea físicamente. Entonces, pues claro, intento dar un decolonial perspective, and feminist perspective about the body, about the space, y cómo eso se cruza para que podamos sentir el culo, disfrutar la vida, teniendo en cuenta todas las complejidades, no todas porque son demasiadas, pero teniendo en cuenta al menos la posibilidad de complejización del ambiente y del cuerpo.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think you're saying some really interesting things. Estás diciendo cosas muy interesantes ahí, como hay como dos cosas de que quiero hablar más. Uno es como, quizás empezamos un poco con el performance que hiciste. Si, estabas mencionando que había como 22 personas con quien lo hiciste. Se siente como, y también haces los talleres también, so kind of the performances you do have like, seem to have like a lot of people involved with it, whether it's performers or people working in the visuals or people doing the sound, and alongside the workshops you do, it sounds like collaboration, la colaboración es muy importante para el trabajo que haces. ¿Puedes hablar un poco de cómo sientes, qué hace la colaboración para tu práctica artística?
En ese performance específicamente me gustó la idea de entender la colaboración como una redistribución de no solo económica, pero una redistribución de actitud artística. A mí me invitaron yo sola a dar un taller en Suiza y yo les proponí hacer esa obra porque entre sacarme de México, pagar un boleto, pagar un hotel, pagarme mi fee, pensé, yo en México hago muchísimo con ese dinero. Ese dinero se multiplica y trabajo 22 personas, de las cuales es mi obra, yo dirijo el sonido, la música, los visuales, la coreografía, pero adentro de esa colaboración específica, cada persona, porque confío en esas personas, entonces tenemos que hablar de confianza, confío en su trabajo, ¿no? Cada persona que yo pongo en mi equipo son personas que yo admiro respecto a la posibilidad de trabajar con ellos. Entonces doy instrucciones y la gente tiene la capacidad y oportunidad de crear adentro de esas instrucciones, ¿no? Y para mí la colaboración es algo sumamente importante, no solo porque digo eso de la distribución, pero también de conocer gente. También compartir un poco la idea del conocimiento y que a mí me dieron mucha oportunidad al principio de mi carrera para mostrar mi arte y eso es lo que agradezco muchísimo e intento hacer con otra gente también, no solo colaborar con personas grandes o que ya tengan una estructura definida, pero también buscar gente que está apenas empezando, hasta gente que no cree en sí misma y necesita a veces una oportunidad de enseñar qué puede hacer para volver a creer en sí. Entonces, a mí me gusta trabajar así, me encanta colaborar.
I mean, yeah, solo para traducir un poco lo que dijiste, es como que it feels like collaboration. Y correct me si estoy equivocado, pero lo que entendí, what I understood, was that collaboration offers an opportunity to kind of like share the resources that you have. And so kind of when an opportunity is given to you, it's like nice to look around you and think, well, actually, I really respect that person, I really respect that person, I really like what you're doing, and trying to find ways to like spread the money, the resources, the opportunities as far as possible within your own networks. Se siente como eso es algo importante. That feels like maybe something important to el trabajo que haces, the work you do, especially through a like decolonial perspective. Like asegurarte que no hay competition.
Competition.
Yeah.
No, entonces, creo que la desconstrucción de la competición es una de las cosas bonitas, de alguna manera, de esos tiempos, no solo desde la feminilidad, ¿no? Cuando tú desconstruyes que la otra morra no es tu enemiga, ¿no? Pero quieres construir lazos, construir redes. Vivimos en ese tiempo que hay necesidad de una construcción más fuerte de las redes de apoyo, no solo en mi ciclo familiar o en mi ciclo de amistades, pero también en mi ciclo de trabajo. Yo soy... me gusta la idea de que más gente pueda hacer más cosas, ¿no? Que yo no creo que el trabajo del otro va a empañar mi trabajo o que el trabajo del otro va a ponerme atrás. No es una competición justo porque yo creo en mi trabajo, yo creo en la unicidad de mi trabajo y que nadie más lo puede hacer, así como creo que el trabajo de esa persona es único. Entonces creo que no es una competición porque nadie empaña a nadie. Entonces cuando colaboras, más bien tú creces junto.
Sí, es como importante traer todos contigo. Yeah, just kind of bringing everyone with you in your journey. Yeah. Como que la otra cosa que quería preguntar de lo que estabas diciendo, quizás era sobre esa idea de como la migración de música y cultura y el proceso que quizás no hay, como no hay, no sé qué la palabra es en español, like the lineage, so the kind of the migration of music and culture and the lineage of that perhaps isn't kind of recognized quite often. Pensaba
Yes.
que hay algo que quieres decir sobre eso, como sí, la migración de música y cultura, the migration of music and
Yes,
culture.
of course. A big part of my work is about recognize and revalorar. ¿Cómo es valorar?
Valorar como valuing.
Revalue and recognize, no? Because see, if you think, not all cultures have books. All cultures have graphic, but no graphic is like common graphic, no? So you pass information, you pass knowledge with music, with dance, with oral culture, immaterial culture, ¿no? Entonces tú tienes siglos de personas migrando de continentes a continentes de manera forzada, in forced way, people migrant in forced way, trayendo conocimiento from their bodies, a través de sus cuerpos. Entonces es súper importante no olvidarnos de reconocer ese conocimiento que no está plasmado en un sitio web, en cualquier lugar, en un periódico o en un libro o en un artículo académico, ¿no? Y creo que esas migraciones siguen pasando y es súper importante tenernos en cuenta que la mayoría de las migraciones no son hechas por placer, son hechas por cuestiones de guerra, por cuestiones de buscar una vida mejor, buscar una otra chance de poder alcanzar a veces solo salud y como una cierta comodidad. Ni siquiera hay un sueño de acumulación, es como poder estar vivo y poder comer, dormir, bañarse sin estar siendo violado o sin estar siendo asignados sus derechos. Entonces, creo que hace nuestra parte cuando tenemos los recursos, el internet, las redes, de valorar esa cultura y siempre poder redistribuir si es que estamos lucrando con ella también.
¿Cómo piensas que
redistribuir a esas comunidades migrantes?
¿Y cómo crees que como el internet ha afectado como esa migración de cultura? Como que sí, porque si es algo diferente como la migración de gente, es difícil o como hay un reluctance para que gente acknowledges la migración que hicieron, pero como qué pasa en el internet cuando esa información o esa información que está transmitida es como despegada de un cuerpo, solo es como información, es como veo un video en YouTube y como no entiendo la historia de la música porque solamente lo veo en YouTube. ¿Me entiendes?
Claro, sí. Bueno, por un lado hay que muchas culturas también se están reconociendo a través de videos de internet, como reconociendo su propia historia, lo que se me hace súper interesante porque la cultura también es algo que se va transformando, la tradición de generación a generación. Y en la internet tiene capacidad de que tú mismo puedas accesar esas historias que a lo mejor tú no sabías sobre ti. Y obviamente yo digo que hay que, como decía Farrokh, hay que desconfiar de las imágenes, Aaron Farrokh, ¿no? Es como a ese libro, desconfiar de las imágenes. Y es como cada vez que yo veo una imagen sin un subtítulo, yo tengo que empezar a pensar, y así es la curiosidad, y así empieza el proyecto de descolonización. Es como, ok, pues justo así, estamos escuchando esa música, ¿de dónde viene ese beat? ¿De dónde viene ese movimiento? Entonces, como todo está en Internet. La Internet es la más gran biblioteca que podemos tener y es gratuita en un cierto sentido, ¿no? O sea, aún puedo accesar puntos gratuitos si yo no tengo conexión a la red, pero todo está en Internet. Se me hace increíble poder poner un buscador.
Es como el opposite de lo que dije, como que sí, aunque el Internet es la manera en que la información está distribuida sin como contextualization, también es la manera en que puedes encontrar más contextualization. Y como se siente como,
Claro.
sí.
Sí, también hacemos responsables de autoeducarnos. Y si ves que hay más gente con una curiosidad, armas colectivos, arma grupos de estudios, llama a tus colegas, ¿no?
Y hablando de colectivos o como instantes de como de sentidos colectivos, ¿cómo te sientes, o qué piensas de tienes algo de decir sobre en este último año no poder como estar con comunidades como con grupos de gente unidos, sintiendo, feeling algo juntos, como en el club, o
Claro.
como que tienes algunos pensamientos sobre eso?
Yes, of course. I think nosotros, no hay que olvidar que nosotros somos animales también. Y necesitamos sentir olores, necesitamos sentir piel, necesitamos sentir tacto. Obviamente el último año ha destruido muchísimo de la comunidad clubera por cuestiones de recursos principalmente, ¿no? Pero también por cuestiones afectivas y emocionales. Creo que todos nosotros que hemos optado por vivir la noche y transformar la noche en un lugar de fiesta político también, es porque creemos que esa función en el baile, en el sudor, nos hace organizarnos, es un tipo de organización, es un tipo de reconocimiento y de liberación. Entonces, obviamente, ha habido depresión, ha habido tristeza, ha habido, pues, de inventar, de sacar de dónde comer, ¿no? Tengo amigos productores increíbles que están dejando la música porque vivir en América del Sur o América Central está haciendo una cosa cada vez más difícil, ¿no? La situación de Argentina, la situación de Brasil, la situación de Colombia, de Venezuela. Entonces, hablo de acá porque es la gente que más tengo proximidad, pero esto debe estar pasando en diferentes lugares del mundo. Y es un gran hoyo que ese COVID ha dejado. Pero al mismo tiempo veo que es otra vez la red de apoyo, la colaboración, el colectivo. Espero que cada vez más podemos entender que aunque tengamos pocos privilegios o muchos, podemos redistribuir y ayudar a un amigo y colaborar y intentar como juntarnos en colectivos para que algo ahí siga sucediendo, para que no se vaya todo, ¿no?
Pues Pushka, creo que podría hablar contigo toda la tarde, porque, pero creo que vamos a tener que terminar pronto. O sea, quizás quieres hablar un poco de... Me mandaste un clip de YouTube. Si quieres hablar lo traduzco, ¿cómo se dice? Lo traduzco. Traduzco lo que voy a decir. O sea...
Translate.
Yeah, translate, there we go. So I was just saying that I could speak to Kebra all day because it feels like everything they're saying. I mean, whoever doesn't understand, just like learn some Spanish quick because this is hot words. But yeah, so I feel like we could have a conversation all evening, but I think we can come into a close now. And I wondered if you could speak a little bit about the YouTube clip that you sent me.
Es solo me pidieron una música y esa es una música que me encanta mucho porque justo es una fusión de mundos increíbles porque son mujeres en la escena del baile funk de Brasil, MC Naninha y Nina Bandida. Y hay ese programa que surgió, se fortaleció en la cuarentena justo, que se llama Brasil Grime Show. Son beats de grime, la gente tiene que dar arriba. Y entonces se me hace que es un sonido totalmente actualizado, totalmente nuevo, donde esas chicas de la periferia de Río de Janeiro encuentran ese beat de drill y hacen y reorganizan su música en velocidad, en intención. Y yo creo que es nomás un regalo para ustedes que están escuchándonos y porque está muy chido.
Ok, pues la última cosa, the last thing que pregunto, ¿tienes algo que quieres compartir o algo que viene pronto, something coming up soon que quieres anunciar o anything to where can we see you next?
The next, bueno, estoy armando una escuela de baile DJ en mi casa, aquí en Mexico City. Y para el mundo, bueno, hay una gira, si no me la cancelo otra vez, en Europa el próximo año, en el verano. Entonces, búsqueme y voy a hacer un taller online que se llama Perreología, que es justo la genealogía del perreo, para empezarnos a hablar sobre esas migraciones, una sensibilización sonora también de los beats, de la música, ¿no? Que viene del tambor y termina en el, no sé, en el reggaetón, ¿no? Entonces... Eso, que se inscriban que sigan Descolonización a los talleres online para que podamos conectarnos ahí en la red de internet.
¿Y cuándo va a ser la perología? ¿Cuál fecha?
Creo, déjame abrir mi calendario. Creo que es el 10 de junio.
Okay, so 10th of June, perología, there's going to be an online workshop by Kebra.
Y también clases online de twerk y perreo.
Twerk y perreo, clases online. Inscribir, sign up.
Y la escuelita aquí en México.
Okay. Y si, y tus redes sociales son @descolonizacion y @ID Kebra, ¿no?
ID Kebra, yes.
Okay, pues gracias muchísimo. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks so much for joining us. And
thank you so much. Translated. Sorry, and for the next year, I will put more intention in my English.
Next year, everyone's going to learn Spanish. Everyone's going to learn Spanish by next year.
Perfect. Yes.
Okay, pues besos.
Sí, yes.
Ciao.
Besos.
We're back. Thanks to Kebra for joining us on that. And yeah, for anyone who wants to know, that was the Brazil Grime Show with Dinny Boy, MC Nanina, and Nina. Find it on YouTube. And so now I'm joined by my good Judy, Belén Suárez. Welcome, Belén Suárez.
Hello, Sam. How
¿Cómo
you
estás?
doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Muy bien. Very happy to be here. Finally getting a chance to do this with you.
Yeah, we've been planning to do this for a while. We've been wanting to work on something together.
I know, yeah. I think we've been working on this for months.
Yeah,
and months.
or maybe when did we first? Well, I met through a mutual friend, but I guess we met because we kind of both realised we're both Latin American, both queer, and kind of maybe lots of conversations started from there. Yeah. I wonder if you could speak a little bit about what is it like being a queer Latin person in Leeds?
No, yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, that's true. We met through a friend we both have. And I think the funny thing about that was that at first, like, I didn't know you knew Spanish. You didn't know I spoke Spanish. And we were always, like, in the same places, hanging out, always seeing each other's faces, and always, like, interacting in English. And we had no clue that actually, like, our identities had something in common, you know? So I think being a queer Latin person in Leeds, on the one hand, obviously it has its good things, but it can also be isolating. You know what I mean? Like, I think the Latin community is quite invisibilized in the UK. It's not well known. It's not quite recognized. It's not, how to say, it doesn't have a lot of attention. And yeah, I think you know, I think now that we have this friendship, it's really nice that, you know, we can, like, interact in Spanish or whatever, and now we can talk about things about your country and things about my country. But, like, we are lucky to have this, you know. But I think many queer Latin people in the UK don't get to have this, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, we've had lots of conversations about kind of the invisibility of Latin communities in Leeds. Oh, not in Leeds, or in England, and it feels kind of like, it felt incredibly special to be able to, like, find each other and to have these conversations. And I think that maybe that's where this conversation that we're going to have comes from, about, like, maybe sharing, because I think the original task we wanted to kind of, not task, but activity we wanted to do together was, like, share music with each other, because I feel like we both have, like, a real passion for Latin American music, whether it's kind of like contemporary music or, like, old music, or, like, music that we've grown up with, or music we've kind of found later on in life. And I think that's kind of perhaps where this, like, next, like, half an hour is going to go. We're just going to be talking about some of the music that kind of inspires us. But I kind of realised that before anything else, like, do you want to introduce yourself? So you're Belén Suárez, what do you do?
Yeah, I'm Belén Suárez, pronouns she, her, hers. And I'm currently doing a master's in race studies at Leeds Uni. But, you know, I also like to do some arty stuff, like, I don't know, like from painting to, like, exploring Latin American music. I also did, like, a couple of performances, so a bit of everything, I think. Just whatever people are up to. I think that's a good introduction of myself. I think I'm from Bolivia.
Okay, from Bolivia, big up Bolivia.
South America, in case you don't know where Bolivia is.
In case you need to learn geography, that's where Bolivia is. Yeah.
You know.
Okay, well, let's start talking about Latin American music. So the emotions we're going to go through, I think we thought about, like, perhaps we kind of share a song each. And talk a little bit about maybe why that song's important to us, and can we kind of we spoke about this a bit yesterday, and it's kind of found it incredibly hard to actually just pin down what song to choose, because it felt like, God, I have to suddenly choose certain song. But maybe a question to, like, start with and just to think about is, like, kind of, well, what is Latin American music to you?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, you know. And I think for me, I've been thinking about this question, you know, since we were having all these conversations, you and me. And I think for me, Latin American music has, I think, the main component is that is music made by Latin people. And I've been thinking about this a lot, you know, and I think having a background of Latinhood is key to make Latin American music. Because, you know, I have also encountered some other Spanish speakers, artists that also make Latin music, but that, however, they are from Spain, or they have a European background, or they have, like, a European passport, you know, so they have all these layers of privilege, yet they are doing Latin music. So I guess that is Latin music to some extent, but also not really, because I think Latin music, I think, has to be made by Latin people. That makes sense. You know what I mean? Yeah, I remember
when we were speaking about this briefly yesterday. Yeah, that example of, like, Spanish, like, as a reggaeton singer in Spain making Latin music, it was like, well, I guess, maybe inspired by Latin music, but kind of, it feels like, I don't know, maybe it's like this important, or like this is where it comes into conversation, like this, like, personal relationship to Latin American music. For me personally, makes me feel, like, very protective about it, and so kind of this kind of like example of, like, a Spanish rapper doing reggaeton. It feels like, well, actually no, you're perhaps just, like, borrowing from something which you see around you, and to me, Latin music, it feels highly personal, and so yeah, centered around Latin American people.
Yeah, I think so. And it reminds me as well of, I don't know if you know this artist, but she's called Rosalia, and she's
The one who's going out with that guy, with that American guy.
with that Latin. Oh,
No, I think it was someone else.
I think you're talking about someone else.
Okay, never mind. Carry on.
But she's like from Spain,
Okay.
and I love her. I follow her work. I think she's an incredibly good artist. But she, like this Spotify playlist of Latin music was released, and she was in it. And it
I think
triggered.
I saw that on your Instagram.
Did you?
Story.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm sure I posted about it.
Go
of
on.
course. But like, I was so pissed, because it's like, okay, she's not Latin. She's this white, super rich European woman with a lot of privilege, and her music is in like this Latin playlist just because she sings in Spanish and she sings a bit of like reggaeton music or like whatever. So like, I think, I don't know. I think she's occupying a space that somebody else could be occupying. She is. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like there has to be a distinction. Like,
I think so.
Yeah, or like a recognition. Okay, but I mean, I think we should start playing some music.
Yeah, I think so. I think because we could talk forever, man. Yeah.
But so yeah, we kind of came up with like 3 sections when we were like looking at the songs we had, and we thought perhaps like starting with like more classical music and then going to perhaps more contemporary, or like classical music in terms like what we feel is classical music, like what's kind of classic Latin American music to us.
Yeah.
And then going on to like more contemporary music, and perhaps more then ending with something a bit more experimental, a bit more like something which kind of perhaps challenges that notion of Latin music. Yeah. And so let's start with your classic. So go on. Which one's your classic?
Oh, my classic. So I've been thinking about this a lot,
Okay.
And
I'm excited.
I know. And for me, it's gonna be one of the most important artists in the 20th century in Latin America. So I'm gonna play Celia Cruz.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. And what's the song called?
Rie y llora, which means laugh and cry.
Okay, ready, let's go.
Lo que es bueno hoy quizás no lo sea mañana. He ahí el valor del momento, he ahí el presente perfecto, la oportunidad de llegar. Tú verás si te montas en ella, agárrate fuerte y ya no te sueltes. Ríe, llora, que a cada cual le llega su
Yes.
Yes. Celia Cruz. Celia Cruz, la diabética.
Celia Cruz and her sugar.
Yeah, we were just saying earlier on that if you can realise that in every song she goes, azúcar!
Yeah, every single song
which
she goes
means sugar.
azúcar.
And
Yeah.
so Belén made the joke earlier on about the diabetic. It was funny.
That's her nickname.
Yeah.
So what, you gonna play some?
So what am I going to play? So I was going to play... this song I chose is called Obsesión by Aventura.
Yes.
And it's a bachata song. And so like Aventura, like a Dominican Republic, Dominican American band who maybe from the early 2000s, I'm going to say.
I think so.
But I've had just a distinct memory of it, like always being around in these like Latin American parties, like these like family parties, and like there'd be just lots of like I think it would be an opportunity for people like teenage people to get quite close. And I think we spoke about yesterday, like as a queer person, it felt a bit like a bit strange, and also like as a mixed heritage person, I was like kind of like I felt kind of like the English stiffness, but also the queerness. It was just so like this. I think this song is like everything I want to be, but wasn't, and maybe it enables me a way to revisit that like kind of headspace I want to be in.
Definitely.
So that's Aventura by Obsesión by Aventura.
Yes.
And here it goes.
I love this song.
Something flavor. Aventura.
Hello.
Solo escucha.
Son las 5 de la mañana y yo no he dormido nada. Pensando en tu belleza, en loco voy a parar. El insomnio es mi castigo, tu amor será mi alivio. Y hasta que no seas mía, no viviré en paz. Yo conocí tu novio, pequeño y no buen mozo, y sé que él no te quiere por su forma de hablar. Además tú no lo amas porque él no da la talla, no sabe complacerte como lo haría yo. Pero tendré paciencia porque él no es competencia, por eso no hay motivos para yo respetarlo.
No es amor, lo que tú sientes se llama obsesión, una ilusión en tu pensamiento que te hace hacer cosas, así funciona el corazón.
Bien vestido y en mi Lexus pasé por tu colegio, me informan que te fuiste como un loco, te fui a alcanzar. Te busqué y no te encontraba y eso me preocupaba. Para calmar mi ansia yo te quería llamar, pero no tenía tu número, tu amiga ya me lo negó. Ser bonito mucho me ayudó, eso me trajo la solución. Yo sé que le gustaba y le di una mirada, con par de palabritas tu número me dio. Del celular llamaba y tú no contestabas, luego te puse un beeper y no había conexión. Mi única esperanza es que oiga mis palabras.
No puedo, tengo novio.
No me enganches, por favor.
No es amor,
Escúchame, por favor.
lo que tú sientes
¿Qué es?
se llama obsesión, una ilusión
Estoy perdiendo el control.
en tu pensamiento que te hace hacer cosas, así funciona el corazón.
Mi amor, por Dios, no me enganches, espérate que hay más. Hice cita para el psiquiatra a ver si me ayudaba, pues ya no tengo amigos por solo hablar de ti. Lo que quiero es hablarte para intentar besarte. ¿Será posible que con obsesión no pueda morir? Y quizás pienses que soy tonto, bribón y también...
Yeah, just running out of time, so cut the track a little bit early. So that was Obsesión by Aventura.
Which such a classic, isn't it?
It is a classic.
Such a classic.
Bachata, which kind of has its roots in. I was looking this up a bit earlier on, and so bachatas I think originated in Dominican Republic, and I'm not really sure. I think it'd be interesting to kind of find out the actual lineage of it. I mean, as we were talking with Kebra earlier on, just actually maybe it's important. Yeah, it's really important to kind of understand kind of where these rhythms and sounds came from, because they have like real histories of like African enslavitude.
Yeah, definitely. I think there is a lot of influencia afro en Latinoamérica, ¿sabes? Por ejemplo, la capoeira en Brasil también, o a otros ritmos de Sudamérica también tienen como influencias afros, que luego
Pero no lo reconocen, como como hay una como like reluctance to like acknowledge that.
I think so. Well, you know how Latin America still is. Colorism is still very prevalent, and you know, skin color can determine so many things in your life in Latin America. So I think I agree with you that there is like a reluctance to reconocer que están estas influencias afros también en Latinoamérica, pero están ahí, ¿sabes? O sea, en la bachata, en cualquier tipo de música, en la comida que comemos, en nuestra cultura, en todo, o sea, todo lo que se hace en las personas con las que vivimos también, en la manera en la que se habla, pero bueno, también está invisibilizado un poco, ¿no?
I mean, yeah, definitely. So talking about moving on to our more contemporary playlist, more contemporary kind of section of music. What do you have?
Oh yeah, so I think I'm gonna go because I have 3 options. I have so many songs, but I think I'm gonna choose La Doña.
Okay.
Which is a Mexican American artist. She's very young. She's contemporary. She makes her music now. I think she's quite good. Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about her or about this song?
I'm not sure. I think it's good to recognize, because I think we often get like only a few famous Latin artists like Bad Bunny or DJ Papi or Shakira that we were talking about her yesterday for like hours, and then we just get like 3 of them that become really famous, and then the rest are undermined. So I will encourage people to like really like, you know, if you want to expand your horizons in music, really dig in, you know, really go into playlists that seem that nobody else listens to, or really go into artists on Spotify that only have a few thousand listeners and so on and so on.
Because it also feels like from our position here, where like we're not in Latin America, and because I mean, these are some of the questions that we're kind of trying to ask ourselves earlier on about this, like, well, how do we access music?
Yeah.
And it feels like not being in Latin America, kind of like what perhaps gets like, unless you're really really digging, what gets like transmitted is like really diluted, and it's kind of like 1 or 2 or 3 certain like Shakira's and Shakira who we love. I mean, early Shakira who we love, and then anyway, before we go into that conversation, let's say this.
Que lo como chile, sal y limón, que me des tu corazón, que lo como chile, sal y limón. Nada me pertenece, mi amor, nada me pertenece, mi amor. Te doy mi mano vacía, mamá, te doy mi mano vacía, papá, te doy mi corazón roto, mamá, te doy mi corazón roto, papá. Y a mi hermana dejo mi son, y a mi hermana dejo mi son, y a mi hermana dejo mi son. Soy ojo de chubasco, soy ojo de chubasco, mi amor. Soy ojo de chubasco, soy ojo de chubasco, mi amor. Cada quien que me ama, mamá, cada quien que me ama, papá, cada quien que me toca, mamá, cada quien que me toca, papá. Pierde su cuerpo, su alma y su ser. Pierde su cuerpo, su alma y su ser. Pierde su cuerpo, su alma y su ser. Pertenezco a la muerte, mamá. Pertenezco a la muerte. Pertenezco a la muerte, papá. Por eso no doy caricia, mi amor. En vez te doy cicatrices, mi amor. Lluvia sin cielo, diablo sin Dios. Lluvia sin cielo, diablo sin Dios. Lluvia sin cielo, diablo sin Dios. Sueño con tu regreso. Sueño con tu regreso, mi amor. Sueño con tu regreso. Sueño con tu regreso, mi amor. Cuento días que existo sin ti. Cuento días que existo sin ti. Mi vidita plácido y feliz. Mi vidita plácido y feliz. Y pido a Dios que no volverás. Y pido a Dios que tú volverás. Que me des, que me des, que me des tu corazón. Que lo como, chile, sal y limón. Que me des, que me des, que me des tu corazón. Que lo como, chile, sal y limón. Papi chulito, déjame aconsejar. No te tires al agua sin saber nadar. Te ves tan rico, si me anima. Te ves de boca abierta y no oíste nada. Te ves de boca abierta y no oíste nada. Te ves de boca abierta y no oíste nada. Abre esa boquita que tienes. Con la boca abierta. Nada me pertenece, nada me pertenece, mi amor. Nada me pertenece, nada me pertenece, mi amor. Te doy mi mano vacía, mamá. Te doy mi mano vacía, papá. Te doy mi corazón roto, mamá. Te doy mi corazón roto, papá. Y a mi hermana dejó mi son. 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 Que me des, que me des, que me des tu corazón. Que lo como, chile, sal y limón. Que me des, que me des, que me des tu corazón. Que lo como, chile, sal y limón. Papi chulito, déjame aconsejar. No te tires al agua sin saber nadar. Te ves tan rico, si me anima. Te ves de boca abierta y no oíste nada. Te ves de boca abierta y no oíste nada. Te ves de boca abierta y no oíste nada.
So that was La Doña, Nada me pertenece.
Nothing belongs to me.
Nothing belongs to you. And so where did you find La Doña? Where did you hear her music
I think
first?
I just found her randomly, trying to find some new Latin music on Spotify, and then she came up, and then she has like this beautiful picture of herself as on her album. I was like, oh, she looks really cool, and I just started listening to her. She's not. I don't think she's that big. I don't think she's like, mainstream level. But I think her music is absolutely fantastic, and she's Mexican American as well. And I think you can really feel the Mexican influence in her songs. Like there is a bit, every now and then there is a bit of like mariachi rhythm.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I really enjoy as well.
But I mean, that mixture of those kind of different influences on music, I think something that's really interesting. And it feels like it comes up a lot, and especially like with like producers or like singers or artists who are kind of perhaps like not currently situated in Latin America. It feels like those influences of like their new context comes into their music, and that's quite exciting to hear. Talking of which, the song I'm going to play next is by like a New York-based producer, and it's like a remix of like a Nicki Minaj song with remixed with like this Looney Tunes, which is like a reggaeton duo, who are like who are Latin American but based in, or kind of were American, raised in America. So kind of these, I think when talking about all these kind of influences and factors into kind of songs, I guess I'm not really sure what I'm trying to say. I think I'm just thinking about the original question we were asking ourselves, like kind of what is Latin American music? Kind of, is it by Latin American people? Kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah, and kind of what...
Or is it music that has to be exclusively in like languages that we speak in Latin America? Like does it have to be like Portuguese, Spanish? But I don't know, in Haiti they speak French as well. So I guess that's also Latin music, like music in French. So I think it's a lot more complex than just saying, it's just music in Spanish, because I think, I don't know, there is a lot of like music in Portuguese I absolutely love, and it's Latin music as well.
But it's also, I mean, that term Latin, it was, Latinidad. I think I was reading a little bit, I was kind of trying to research about this term Latinidad earlier on, and it being also quite a complicated term, because I think what it does, and maybe it's what's hard about trying to define what Latin music is like, even like in defining Latin America, it's like such a huge space with lots of like different different experiences, different cultures. That maybe even calling it, I don't know, it's like there's something quite reductive about calling it
Latin. I think so.
But is that, I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of...
I think so, and I think there is a lot of people, mainly I think indigenous activists or indigenous communities that have positioned themselves against the concept Latin. And I think, you know, it's not how I identify myself, but I mean, it's not that I am part of that movement, but I can see where they come from, because at the end of the day, Latin is such an umbrella term, and you have so many identities, so many races, so many languages, that it feels quite inaccurate. And for some people it feels inaccurate, you know, when I think for me my Latinhood is very accurate actually, but for some people it's something that actually doesn't define them or doesn't you know, cover their identities.
And I wonder how much that's influenced by, well, our own position of being abroad, by being away from Latin America. I wonder kind of what our opinions would be if we were situated in El Salvador or Bolivia, and kind of whether we'd need that kind of term or the idea of Latinidad to hold on to, or whether it comes out of like being of the diaspora, like kind of existing elsewhere, but kind of like harking back to a sense of home, which is kind of quite abstract, and so it becomes Latinidad.
I think so. I think we are definitely influenced by our backgrounds of migration. I think, you know, even if you're still in Latin American, I think the concept can be important for you, but I think in your case and in my case, the fact that it's this relevant is definitely because, you know, we have a background of like being far away from home and being far away from our families and not getting the chance to practice our language every day or whatever, even though we're speaking in English right now, you know, we said we were going to speak in Spanish. But I think we are definitely influenced by that factor of migrant, of being migrants, or like coming from migrant background as well. Yeah.
And on to the next song.
Yeah.
Okay, this is The Saddest Angel, Looney Tunes and Nicki Minaj, Noche de Sexo.
Yes.
Let it be of quality. You know why? Because I put quality in what I do. I spend time and I spend energy and I spend effort and I spend everything I have, every fiber of my being to give people quality. So if I turn up to a photo shoot and you got a $50 clothes budget and some sliced pickles on board, you want to know what? No, I am going to leave. Is that wrong? For wanting more for myself, wanting people to treat me with respect? But you know what? Next time they know better. But had I accepted the pickle juice, I would be drinking pickle juice right now.
I know you don't like me, you wanna fight me. Always on my page, never double tap like me. Baddies to my left and my right. Never chase a corny nigga, put that on my life. Just put it in his face, all this cake, he wanted the taste. He sippin' on that ace, bitty waist, pretty face. Yeah, eat a cookie monster. He a slave to this pussy, call me master. Real wet, I said slurping like a pasta. They get nervous when it's Nicki on the roster. All of them want mimic, talking about snitches when the snitches and you can't. Never stand alone, you always itching for a stamp. They gon' have to send their best fighter for the champ. Options, it's a bunch of mini-me's, I'm the one they mocking. Showed you how to get a bag, now you going shopping. When I come out, all the sneak bitches start plotting. When I come out, it's a sweet bitches start plotting.
It's cool, but every time I put my foot down and stand up for myself, it's like, we've heard about Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj shut down a photo shoot, oh my god, no one wants to work with Nicki Minaj. I'm glad you heard. Now, when I come to a photo shoot, let it be of quality. You know why? Because I put quality in what I do.
Deberíamos hablar en español. Para esta última parte quizás lo deberíamos hacer en español.
Vale, sí. Vamos a por ello.
Ok, pues. Ya. Sí, como ella está moviendo. ¡Ah! Me traba la lengua ya.
Sí. Nunca nos sale, ¿no? Cuando estamos los dos juntos, nos cuesta mucho ahí sincronizar en español.
Es porque uno empieza en español y después alguien replies en inglés y va así. Porque no tenemos la oportunidad para practicarlo tanto. O sea, para mí siento que lo estoy perdiendo un poco, pero...
Claro.
Claro.
Y estábamos hablando de eso ayer también, cuando dijimos que las ideas complejas, así como que se nos es más fácil explicarlas en inglés, tanto para ti como para mí, porque no... El background, the educational background, going to uni and so on, is something that we both got in English. Entonces, cuando queremos explicar conceptos o ideas complejas y tal, nos salen mejor en inglés. A veces era como, ¿pero cómo puede ser esto?
Tienes el vocabulario en inglés.
Sí.
Y en español sentimos que no lo tenemos.
Sientes que no lo tienes, sí. Y es algo que yo también he notado después de todos mis años yendo a la uni y tal, cuando intento explicar esas ideas en español. No me salen, ¿sabes? No me salen. Y no sé, es como un poco mezclado, ¿no? Porque por una parte te sientes bien, me siento bien en el sentido de, oh, qué bien que pueda, yo qué sé, intercalar tantas lenguas y poder hablarlas. Pero por otra parte también te hace un poco sad porque es como, I'm losing my connection to my roots, but also Spanish is a colonial language as well, isn't it? True. So it's like, to what extent speaking in Spanish is liberating for myself when it's actually the language of my colonizers, you know? Like, I don't know, original native languages in my country are not Spanish, are like Quechua or Aymara, which I have no idea. I don't know how to speak. No one in my family does. So I don't know. I think it's quite paradoxical what we consider liberating and what we consider oppressive. And I think Spanish can be both at different times.
And sometimes it's like someone's just trying to speak it, and you're like, oh, got all these things.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well maybe we should like move on to the last bit of the of the show.
Yes.
Moving on to something a bit more experimental. I think as we were saying earlier on, we kind of came up with these categories when we were thinking about like our personal relationships to Latin American music, and how perhaps the kind of perhaps more classical contemporary songs feel like a more obvious entry route into Latin American music, but equally these more experimental or things which don't sound like Latin American music feel as valid entry point into a sense of identity, really.
Yeah, I think so. And I think when we're thinking about experimental category, as a category, it was really hard for us because it was like, what is experimental Latin music? It could be anything, but it could also be nothing really, you know? So, yeah. The one I chose, I think, is quite experimental, but I think you can also tell the Latin influence in it. And I think it's quite banging as well, which is something I like. And it's from this Dominican artist. So, yeah.
And this is called?
It's called Privity by Haraka Kiko.
Okay, let's go.
Amo un corito, Triviti te va a matar. Amo un corito, Triviti ta 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 ta. Hey, vamos a su corito, Priviti, tú y yo. Vamos a su corito, Priviti, tú y yo. Vamos a su corito, Priviti, tú y yo. Que nadie se entere, mami, solo tú y yo. Y vamos a su corito, Priviti, tú y yo. Vamos a su corito, Priviti, tú y yo. Vamos a su corito, Priviti, tú y yo. Que nadie se entere, mami, solo tú y yo, ma. Tú y yo, 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 tú y yo. Contigo no se puede ni chatear, contigo no se puede ni hablar, contigo no se puede ni caminar. Cuando hablo contigo lo sabe todas las redes. Contigo no se puede ni chatear, contigo no se puede ni hablar, contigo no se puede ni caminar. Cuando hablo contigo lo sabe todas las redes. Tú y yo, 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 tú y yo. Tú eres una boca cámara, una sodidita. Tú estás conmigo porque yo soy artista. Desde que te choque, tú brincaste la tablita. Tírate del guayate, tú no tienes curita. A su corito Priviti, tú y yo. Vamos a su corito Priviti, tú y yo. Vamos a su corito Priviti, tú y yo. Vamos solo en otro lado, conocen el callejón. Tú y yo, 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 tú y yo. Tú eres un sonata, yo estoy claro contigo. De que me viste el guillo, te guíllate conmigo. Si yo lo prendo hoy, yo no sé cuándo termino. Yo soy un cuero macho por culpa del destino. Domingo de colores, no aptos pa' menores. No tenis tan de agencia, pastillitas de colores. Privado en una suilla pa' que nadie le llegue. Cuando me vea con otra en apeche no te me pegue. Priviti, priviti, priviti. Cuando me vea con otra en apeche no te me pegue. Bebé no te me pegue. Priviti, 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 no te me pegue. Vamos a su corito Priviti, tú y yo. Vamos a su corito Priviti, tú y yo. Vamos a su corito Priviti, tú y yo. Que nadie se entere, mami, solo tú y yo. Y vamos a su corito Priviti, tú y yo. Vamos a su corito Priviti, tú y yo. Vamos a su corito Priviti, tú y yo. Que nadie se entere, mami, solo tú y yo, ma. Tú y yo, 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 tú y yo,
mío personal, como del es mío. FBA, Mellito, Picante, Chef.
So yeah, that was Jaracoquico, Privity. ¿De dónde? Dominican
artist.
Se siente con mucha música de Dominican Republic. Como que todo tiene la ruta ahí.
I think I will say the three main countries that produce music, I feel like, are Puerto Rico, the first one, Dominican Republic, and Cuba. I think for me, those three, every time I find an artist that I like, it's always from one of those three countries, mainly.
Okay, yeah. Because I feel like mine would be different. I feel like when I've been looking recently, it'd be Argentina,
Okay.
Chile, and Mexico. I think, yeah.
Mexico, yes. Mexico, actually, I forgot Mexico.
Which is interesting because it feels like those are the countries the bigger countries which bigger infrastructure for creating music, or like supporting. Well, not even supporting, but they feel like they're bigger countries within Latin America.
Yeah.
And maybe that's also got consequence on their ability to produce music.
Yeah, I think so. I think Mexico and Argentina for sure. Chile, I don't think I know any Chilean artists at all.
Yeah, I don't. But so, I was going to play a song actually from a Chilean. Well, actually, maybe I guess I'm talking more about like. But I was going to say the ones I found have been like record labels, like small record labels, like which have been.
Oh right.
But I guess they are platforming Chilean artists. I'm not too sure, but yeah, it feels like it's always like Santiago, Buenos Aires, and Mexico City.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
For me, it's always, I think, Puerto Rico. I think from Ricky Martin to Bad Bunny, they all from Puerto Rico. And anything in between, it's all Puerto Rico.
But it's interesting that trajectory, though, of like actually people like Bad Bunny or Ricky Martin and the relationship between Puerto Rico and the United States. And kind of like, it almost feels like a through passage from like getting big in Puerto Rico and the relationship, and the complicated relationship between Puerto Rico and the United States allows them to have like some sort of like a platform in the United States, which it feels like becomes the marker of like, okay, now you have like global success.
Yeah, definitely, I think so. And Puerto Rico is a very complex case, I think, of like, I don't know, contemporary imperialism and the US trying to like eat everything in Latin America. And I think Puerto Rico is right there, it's like constant debates as in what is Puerto Rico? Is it US territory? Is it Latin territory? And you can find so many opinions about it. But for me, it's Latin America.
Yeah, and they make good music.
But and they make really good music as well. It's so amazing. But you wanna get into like
maybe I think maybe after this song we'll close, and so maybe if we were to say like some, the song I'm going to play is called Como Al Simi by a Mexico City based producer called Perdid.
Nice.
And it's from their album Queenager, and I literally found them on SoundCloud, and I'll play it afterwards, and I quite enjoy it. But is there anything like, where can we find you? What are you doing next? What's on the cards for Belén Suárez?
Yeah, so you can find me mainly on my Instagram, which is vbelen.suarez. And what I'm doing next, to be honest, I have a lot of ideas in my mind.
Okay.
I don't have a precise, specific project yet. There are a lot of things I want to do. I really would like to start, as I mentioned to you, a project of like decolonizing music and like exploring more, not just Latin American music, but music that is not Anglophone, that is not in English. So I'll potentially be doing some work on that. But you can check anything, all the works I've done on my Instagram page. I did a podcast about migration in case people want to listen to that. I also made a playlist for a London-based collective about Latin music as well, which is also there. And all kinds of things, So
exciting things coming up, And hopefully this isn't the last of our activities together. I feel like it's maybe the beginning of, let's just...
Definitely, I think so. We could be playing music forever.
Yeah, literally you could be here all night. And I was going to say that if there's any like Latin American people, queer Latin American people listening in Leeds, in Manchester, or somewhere in the north, or even in London, in the south, just hit us up. We kind of think we're really keen to try find where people are and just start like communicating with each other.
Sí, si podemos crear una comunidad de gente queer latina en Inglaterra, sería increíble.
Y en el norte sería perfecto,
en
pero
norte,
igualmente si están en Londres.
Por supuesto. En el norte, principalmente en Leeds o Manchester o lo que sea, escribirnos o contactarnos. Y aquí estamos, a millar, ¿no? Dispuestos a conocer más gente.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, thanks for everyone for. I think this is the last show of the night. This is it. People are gonna be able to go home, have their dinners. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks Sable for doing this whole thing. Thanks Eat Your Greens. Just thanks all round, except from the British weather. No, thank you to you.
Pedrick, ahí viene otra vez, con tanta pendejada en inglés. Che, fuera, ser día fuera, tareas comiendo de un mes. Estoy cruda, no es un mood, ser zen es mi virtud. Si me hablas de eventos, levanto cualquiera.